When you think of a rich and proud club in Melbourne, Victoria, Carlton comes to mind. The Carlton Football Club have a rich and decorated history, winning 16 premierships, tying the Essendon Football Club for most premierships in the history of the AFL. In today's video, we are going to be attempting to rebuild the Carlton Football Club. They have had a tough few seasons, I'd say maybe last 2 decades in the AFL. Things are looking good for the Carlton Football Club now. They are now a destination club. They've had stars join the team. They've also had players express their interest to join the Carlton Football Club. In today's video, I will be attempting to rebuild the Carlton team. It's all fictional based. I want you guys comment down below what you think. Now, this is if I was the general manager of the Carlton Football Club, so a lot of these things may not be correct. I know that, I get that, but I'd love to know what you guys think and also what team I should do next. To start this rebuild, we have to go all the way back to 1995. The reason we go back to 1995 was when Carlton last won their AFL Premiership. Now, they won their Premiership in 1995. The 90s were actually pretty successful for the Carlton Football Club. In 1993, they made the grand final where they were defeated by Essendon. And they also defeated Essendon in 1999 to get into the grand final, which they eventually ended up losing. But at 3 grand finals in that space, they won 1 grand final. They're also very competitive. Anthony Koutoufides, Stephen Kernahan, just some of the great players that went through the Carlton Football Club in the late 90s. Even after losing the grand final in 99, Carlton was still pretty successful in that period in 2000. They were still making finals. They were still competing for grand finals. They were playing in some pretty big finals. It was then after that, after some salary cap issues and players leaving, seen Carlton go through a very tough period, and that period was 2002 to 2008. The 2002 to 2008 period for the Carlton Football Club was not a real good period, to say the least. In 2002, Carlton swiftly fell behind from being one of the most successful on-field and off-field teams to one of the most least successful. They ended up winning the Wooden Spoon, and from the period from 2002 to 2008, they won 3 Wooden Spoons under coach Dennis Pagan. Carlton were not competing for final series, but just to be fair, they still had some pretty good upsides. Brendan Vavola was one of them. Brendan Vavola was one of the leading goal kickers every single season in the AFL and was definitely one of the premier full forwards that the league has probably ever seen to this day. Even after winning all these Wooden Spoons and basically competing at the bottom of the ladder for the bottom top 5 positions, it all started to shift in 2008. In the 2007 off-season, the Carlton Football Club were able to secure probably the best midfielder in the league, and that was Chris Judd, making him their captain. They also hired a new head coach in Brett Ratten, who brought a new game style to the team and a toughness that the team needed also. Time spent at the bottom of the ladder allowed the Blues to secure 3 first-round number 1 draft picks in Mark Murphy, Bryce Gibbs, and Matthew Cruiser, who all went on to have decorated careers. We fast forward to 2009 and 2011, where the Blues featured in the finals. Brett Ratten leading the club with Chris Judd at the captain helm. Brendan Vavola was playing some really good footy at this time, but a trade from the Carlton Football Club to the Brisbane Lions seen him leave the club. Carlton almost made it all the way to a prelim, losing to West Coast in Perth, and a free kick that could have went to Walker in the final dying stages could have led to Carlton almost playing in a grand final. In 2011, Brett Ratten was sacked and Mick Malthouse, who came across from the Collingwood Football Club, took over. The Blues were a competitive team under Malthouse. The Blues did not take the next step under Mick Malthouse. They did struggle with Malthouse as we move into 2013, one of the most craziest years and one of the most craziest final series. In 2013, the Bombers were hit with the drug scandal, so they were suspended from the finals, which seen Carlton get into the top 8 and play Richmond in the elimination final. Now, this was probably one of the best finals game I've probably ever seen. The Richmond Footy Club got out to a really nice lead. This is when Richmond weren't winning finals and weren't winning grand finals. Carlton fought back in the second half and upset Richmond, probably one of the games of the season. Chris Judd's goal in the final quarter was absolutely unreal. The crowd went completely ballistic, and that seen the Blues win that final. They did go on to Sydney the next week to lose, but it was a great day for if you're a Carlton fan, and just a real great day for a footy fan to watch a final like that. In 2016, Carlton decided to move on from Mick Malthouse and Brendan Bolton took over as head coach. Now, Brendan Bolton was the head coach from 2016 to 2019, where in 2019, the Carlton Football Club started 1-10, and that which led Brendan Bolton to be sacked. Now, the good thing about the Brendan Bolton, I'd say, era was Carlton were improving. They were starting to win some games. It was just kind of like the downslide of Brendan Bolton's last few games that seen Carlton really fall into that hole again. David Teague has taken over, and he has been their present coach ever since. David Teague took over after round 11 last season, and I think signed a 2 to 3 year deal with the Carlton football team. In the 2019 off-season, Carlton did acquire our favourite son, Eddie Betts, from the Adelaide Crows. They also picked up Martin from the Carlton Football Club. Jack Nunes was also picked up. And in 2018, they were able to secure Sam Walsh. So the key off-season additions have been improving a lot for the Carlton Football Club. Harry Mackay, Charlie Curnow. There's some really good players in that little list. They're basically their key off-season additions in the last few years, 2010 to 2019. Some really good football players there. Jacob Wiedering probably should have been an All-Australian this season. He also is starting to come on. And there's also been some really bright sparks in Williamson. They've also got in their forward line a very dangerous forward line with Gibbons and all, and even some of their crafty little small forwards. I honestly believe Carlton can take the next step, and that leads us into 2020. In 2020, Carlton finished the season 11th, 7 wins and 10 losses. They had some ups and downs, Carlton. Some of their key wins were the wins over Geelong. I think that might have been in round number 3. They also beat Essendon by a single point. Jack Nunes, who could forget the goal after the siren to beat the Fremantle Football Club. But there were some key losses in 2020 for the Blues. They lost to Port Adelaide after the siren, which again they probably should have won. And they also lost in the final round to the Crows, which basically really put a somber feeling on their 2020 season. All in all though, if I was a Carlton fan, I'd be still pretty happy with how Carlton are going and basically just how they would have been, how they're improving in that hub. I mean, it was a hub life. The hub life's tough. We can all agree with that. And Carlton did take some steps in improving in season 2020. So this is where I come into it, the 2020 off-season, the rebuild. Now, I've put some of the players I want to re-sign, some of the players I wanted to delist. There's a reason I've done this. Now, I've got Will Setterfield, Liam Stocker, Corral, Kennedy, Nunes, Paulson. Now, there's a little bit of an asterisk over Mitch McGovern, and I'll tell you guys why a bit later on. Delist. I genuinely believe Eddie Betts should just be back as a coach, not a player, no minutes. Just as a coach to help the younger forward lines. Kay Simpson retired, Darcy Lang delisted, and all the other players Carlton have delisted as well. Now, our targets. Let's get into our targets. Zach Williams, Adam Saad, Jordan De Goey. Now, I know a lot of people saying Jordan De Goey, maybe not, maybe yes. He's in there. Luke Parker. I feel like Luke Parker could add a lot to this team, and he's 27, 28. Clayton Oliver. Clayton Oliver actually has been linked to the club the last, I think, week. So maybe we just try and get him. Zach Merritt, question mark, Adam Treloar. Now, there's 2 question marks on them because there's been some rumors that maybe they want out of their respective clubs. Maybe we go after them. Let's get into it. The first one, sign Zach Williams. Pretty easy one. Let's sign Zach Williams. Let's get him on board. Zach Williams will join the team probably on like a 6 to 7 year deal. And we just know the absolute class of Zach Williams, what he can provide in that midfield. Also, he is a half-backer, but imagine what he'd be like released into the midfield with the likes of Paddy Cripps and all that good stuff. Our next one, Adam Saad. Tried desperately to keep pick 7, pick 8. I think that's what Carlton have. Keep it. Just absolutely keep it. Off Essendon, pick 20, 25. I think they're in the range of 2025. A future first rounder for Adam Saad. Surely that gets the deal done. Like I said, hold on to that pick. That top 10 pick, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it for a later trade, which will be coming up, basically coming up next. So get ready for that. But like I said, I know Essendon's hard to deal with. Try and keep that pick, because if you keep that pick, then you can really unload it. Now, if this is the case, if there is rumors that this player is looking like coming to Carlton, then throw this pick at Clayton Oliver. Get Clayton Oliver in from the Melbourne Football Club. Jack Silvani, there's been rumors that he also could be on the outer. We trade Jack Silvani. I know he's a favourite son, and maybe a first round pick for Clayton Oliver, because I mean that is going to be a lot to get that deal done. Maybe a future first rounder, but Clayton Oliver in the midfield with Paddy Cripps, it's going to allow Cripps to free up a bit. Allow Luke, and then also allow Cripps to be able to not really carry all the load. I mean, Sam Walsh is a young upcoming star, and having Clayton Oliver down there would be an elite midfield. The last player here, I'll also go for a trade. Now, Mitch McGovern comes into this. Now, I know, like I said, these are unrealistic. This is something I'll do if I was the Carlton GM. Mitch McGovern and a second rounder for Luke Parker. So like a sign and trade, re-sign Mitch McGovern, then trade him off to Sydney for Luke Parker. Don't know if they'll do this. Lance Franklin has been injured. Maybe Luke Parker wants to win now, considering Sydney probably aren't in the winning stages at the moment of their time. I mean, Lance Franklin's been injured, so maybe Mitch McGovern can help up forward. We sign and trade Mitch McGovern. We bring in Luke Parker. Our leadership group, Paddy Cripps, captain. Paddy Cripps comes in as the captain again. Sam Walsh is elevated as vice captain. Luke Doherty and maybe Luke Parker are in that leadership group. That's what I'll do for leadership group. Have a 2-man leadership, have a 4-man leadership group with maybe Parker, and then you also have in there Sam Walsh and Zach and Doherty. So this is the team, the 21 team Carlton could be lining up in. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if this is a possibility. You've got Sam Walsh, Clayton Oliver, Zach Williams. That is an elite midfield. If Carlton want to win now, I genuinely believe this is the team that they could roll out. I mean, if they're going to go hard after players, I feel like Luke Parker would be great for Paddy Cripps. Imagine Parker and Oliver in that midfield to basically release Paddy Cripps. He wouldn't have to do all the heavy lifting. He'd be able to move around. They also get the return of Charlie Curnow, who missed basically all of last season. Well, he missed the entirety of season 2020. You've got Marchbank. Plowman also comes back into the team. I think Plowman, it might be Marchbank. I think Marchbank missed majority of the season. He also didn't play, so they'd get some really nice players. Let me know what you guys think of this rebuild. It's only a quick rebuild, but like I said, had a lot of fun doing it. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, get on board, and let me know in the comment section down below who you'd want me to do next. Stay blessed, guys.